Ruth, I want to start with you. You responded to President Biden's tweet saying, quote, "I wrote strong men because I saw the global right rehabilitating figures like Hitler and Pinochet and obscuring or denying the memory of their violence." Anti-Semitism this vile and open, Ruth, not from a fringe figure, but a person who had dinner with the ex-president last week. Talk about the real harm that comes from even the articulation of hate.
Yeah, and, Holocaust denial is actually embedded in the Trump administration. I want to remind people there's so many things that were egregious that way in 2017, just a week before his administration, after his administration started, Donald Trump's administration released a Holocaust remembrance statement that didn't mention Jews. And that was a gift to Holocaust deniers. And, from the very beginning, he created this big tent for Holocaust deniers, for anti-Semites, for extremists, and he's gone out of his way to perpetuate anti-Jewish stereotypes. And so this is no surprise, because the more he feels beleaguered and cast aside by the, quote, establishment GOP, the more he's going to double down and associate with the most extremist elements and most dangerous elements of our society.
Right. I know that's no surprise, Ruth, but here's what I want to know. Does it shock you that the president of the United States, the current president of the United States, had to tweet, quote, "The Holocaust happened in 2022"?
It doesn't shock me, because we're also connected here to a very strong global right with its talking points, and Holocaust denial is on the uptick, as well as all kinds of anti-Semitism. The GOP sits at the feet of one of the biggest anti-Semitic propagandists in Europe, and that's Viktor Orban, who's obsessed with George Soros. And there's many Holocaust deniers around him, too.
And Viktor Orban, the leader of Hungary. Jen Rubin, your reaction to all this as a former Republican?
Well, I was sure right to leave the party, wasn't I? It is, of course, horrifying when Donald Trump sits down with anti-Semites and Holocaust deniers, but it is not surprising because, as Ruth said, this is embedded in today's Republican Party, which increasingly has taken on the appearance of a fascist party. It's right-wing nationalism, it's denial of elections, it's propaganda, it's delusions, it's heat mongering. These are all signs, and all the propaganda that it generates are indicative of a fascist movement. And I think it's long past time that Americans as a whole not say, well, it's just talk, or, well, it's just the Jews. It doesn't really affect me. We are all in this together. And if we're going to survive as a pluralistic democracy, we need to articulate exactly what this is and exactly why we should oppose it. And while I'm extremely dismayed, obviously, that Donald Trump is still at it, I'm more dismayed at the quietude and the spinelessness of the Republican Party, which still to this day doesn't have the nerve to reject him and reject this brand of anti-Semitism and hate.
Melissa, as we've been talking since this conversation started, speech can beget violence. Jews killed in Pittsburgh, Black people killed in Buffalo. Both suspects cited the so-called Great Replacement theory as a motivator. Why hasn't this stopped Donald Trump and Republicans from capitalizing on feelings of white resentment?
Well, I think the feelings of white resentment aren't a feature or aren't a bug. They're a feature that they want to perpetuate. This is the underlying grievance that fuels the party and its current ideology. I was just having a conversation with a colleague where we were sort of bemoaning the loss of the trajectory, the loss of the thread for the Republican Party. 30 years ago, you could find centrist Republicans. The idea of a center now is completely absent in this party. It is, as Jennifer says, moving toward an extreme right, fascism, fascistic statements, and the kind of stochastic violence that we expect in authoritarian regimes. Everything that Ruth has said is absolutely correct. What we're seeing in our own country strongly resembles the kinds of things we saw in the 1930s in Germany's Weimar Republic. we are very clearly moving and teetering toward the edge. And the question is whether we will pull back from this death spiral.
I mean, Jennifer, I was going to ask you, why did it take so long for that tweet to come down from the House Republicans? But, I mean, is that a sign of this death spiral that Melissa was just talking about? I mean, can the Republican Party, is it too late for the Republican Party to save itself at this point?
It's too late for this Republican Party to save itself. The only solution is for it to lose badly over multiple elections so that its political viability is no longer possible. And it's only then that either that party or some other party will arise as a responsible center-right party. I am not optimistic because I think the leaders here have so discredited themselves, are so morally bereft that it's impossible for them to pull back. But I would say part of the blame here goes to the mainstream media. Every time that President Biden has come forward to identify the Republican Party, for example, as semi-fascist, to warn Americans, there has been mockery, derision, nitpicking. And I think the mainstream media in this case needs to be as alert to the threat as President Biden has been. And I would hope that the latest with Kanye West and the latest Republican refusal once more to reject them would engage the mainstream media and would start taking more of this seriously and stop treating this as just politics like normal and stop poo-pooing the White House's correct attempt, which is to show that this sort of behavior, this sort of speech is completely unacceptable, completely intolerable in a democracy.
Here on that, Jennifer. Ruth, last question to you. What do you make? What do you make of the unprecedented rise in hate speech under Elon Musk?
Yeah, I see Elon Musk as an authoritarian leaning, I assume as a far right troll, but he's definitely an authoritarian leaning person. He just now has restored the account of a very dangerous individual, Andrew Anglin, who's a neo-Nazi. And I want to say that, you know, even with Fuentes, it's not just that he's denying the Holocaust. There was a video that was circulating. He's calling for dictatorship. And Andrew Anglin, even though he's banned almost everywhere, he was very active in helping Trump with Stop the Steal. So this is all, the hate speech is part of this this design, which wasn't successful on January 6th, but now is, considered a kind of new phase of the insurgency to really take down democracy whatever way they can. Mm-hmm. And Elon Musk is showing that he's very he's doing things and restoring voices that are part of this anti-democratic effort.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Melissa, real quick, I'm going to get your reaction too. What do you make of the rise in hate speech under Elon Musk?
I think one of the things that's going on here, too, is this whole idea of whether Twitter is a privately owned social media platform or whether it is essentially a social commons and something more akin to a public square or a government-owned place. And one of the things that Elon Musk has said repeatedly is that the First Amendment should flourish here. This should be a marketplace of ideas. And again, this retreat to the First Amendment is part and parcel of the move that Republicans have been making, that they've been facilitated by through the courts in making this move. So again, this is sort of praised as free speech, but this is not the kind of speech that we typically want to protect as adding value to discourse.